We begin today with what U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is calling an accelerating war with Iran. U.S. Central Command shared this unclassified video late last night, saying it shows Iranian mobile missile launchers being destroyed. CENTCOM, which oversees the U.S. military operations in the Middle East, wrote, quote, "We are finding and destroying these threats with lethal precision," end quote. In addressing the conflict, President Trump said the U.S., in his words, is doing very well on the war front.
Somebody said, on a scale of 10, where would you rate it? I said about a 15. And we're going to continue to do well. We have the greatest military in the world by far.
Meanwhile, Iran carried out a new wave of attacks on Israeli and American military bases. The Iranian foreign minister said the U.S. will, quote, bitterly regret sinking an Iranian ship off the coast of Sri Lanka. And in an exclusive interview with CBS Evening News anchor Tony Dokoupil, Israeli President Isaac Herzog said the country did not have much of a choice but to take action against Iran.
Can you clarify what this war is about? Is regime change the goal?
Not necessarily. What is the goal is Middle East change, meaning if you look at what we've gone through in the last generation, Iran consistently spread terror, hate, and destruction all over the region and the world. And it's about time that everybody tells Iran, guys, we're fed up. This has to change one way or another. If it will lead to the regime change, the more the better.
And in Washington, the House is expected to vote today on a war powers resolution aimed at reining in the president's power to use further military force in the Middle East. You're looking at a live, foggy picture of the nation's capital right now. A similar measure failed in the Senate yesterday.
On this, the yeas are 47, the nays are 53. The motion to discharge is not approved.
And consider this, Senator John Fetterman was the sole Democrat to vote against the measure, and Senator Rand Paul was the only Republican to support it. Also, the Pentagon has released the names of 5 U.S. soldiers killed when Iran struck a tactical operations center in Kuwait. Chief Warrant Officer Robert Marzan is believed to be the 6th soldier who perished. A medical examiner still needs to confirm this identification. And we've got team coverage on all of this for you this morning. Natalie Brand is standing by at the White House. Anna Coren is in Beijing with a look at how the conflict is impacting China. But let's begin with CBS News foreign correspondent Ramy Inocencio in our London bureau once again. Good morning, Ramy. Tensions seem to be escalating in the region. Where do things stand right now?
Errol, yes, the Middle East is now in day 6 of this war, and for now the 3rd day in a row, Israel has been launching airstrikes on both Iran as well as Lebanon, and the conflict does appear to be widening. We're seeing new reports right now of explosions over Qatar and Bahrain, and Azerbaijan now being drawn in. In addition, Western powers, including Spain and France and the Netherlands, say that they will send naval assets into the eastern Mediterranean. Now, first to Iran. Israel is saying that it launched its 11th wave of attacks targeting ballistic missile sites. And the focus here has been on eastern Tehran. The significance, this is where the headquarters is of the Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps and other paramilitary forces, and where many of their members live. Iran's Red Crescent says now more than 1,300 strikes have hit over 170 cities. And just in the past couple minutes, an Iranian government agency says that the number of people killed is now over 1,200. Meantime, to Lebanon, at least 77 people have been killed. That's according to the health ministry there. And airstrikes have been felt across Beirut, the capital, this morning. Israel has said that it hit several Hezbollah command centers. And as we've been saying, the group's stronghold is in southern Beirut. And as I mentioned, the war does appear to be spreading northward. Azerbaijan says that 2 Iranian drones hit an airport, another hit a school just inside the border, a few miles inside. And the country has warned that that will not go unanswered. And then we've got Turkey, which we were talking about yesterday. Turkey next door is saying that the missile fired into the country yesterday was from Iran. Iran is now denying this, but Western officials are saying that the target was Incirlik Air Base. The significance there, that's the largest U.S. base in the country, and NATO defenses now, we know, shot that missile down. So a lot of things happening, even being updated in the past couple of minutes.
And Ramy, so many people are watching all of this unfold and wondering, what is the specific goal here? What's the point? We heard Israeli President Isaac Herzog say the goal is, in fact, not regime change. So what is Israel's rationale?
Yes, and many people are wondering if that is in fact the case. But his logic is that Israel's immediate objective is military and not political. Basically, as we're seeing, really, to degrade and destroy the weapons, the ballistic missile weapons that Iran has in order to safeguard Israel. So in this way, he's framing that the main target is Iran's, you could say, capability, but not Iran's government. And CBS Evening News anchor Tony DeCopel pressed him really on how long this could go. Take a listen.
Are you not concerned that without a clear end game, what you get could be worse than what you have?
It's always something that one needs to take into account. But there's not much of a choice when you know, okay, that they want to jump from 2,000 long-range missiles to 20,000. When you know that they have invested all their nation's resources and money in creating havoc in the Middle East as you try to make peace with Muslim countries. When you know that they have another new secret plan to rush to the bomb, you have to take action.
And about regime change, even though he's saying that that is not the goal, Errol, for Israel and for others, it can be seen as a very, I guess you could say, welcome knock-on effect as it does keep hitting Iran.
Right, Ramy, thank you very much. Let's look at the other major power behind this war. CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand joins us from the White House with that angle. Natalie, good morning. What is President Trump now saying about this war, and where do efforts stand by lawmakers to limit his military actions?
Good morning. Well, let's start with President Trump. In his latest public remarks, he reiterated his belief that he says Iran would have struck first. He said, quote, if we didn't do it first, they would have done it to Israel and give us a shot if that was possible. He also said that their leadership is rapidly going, referencing potential successors to the supreme leader having been killed in strikes. And the administration still hasn't really said who it would like to see in charge in Iran, other than in public statements calling on the people of Iran to take over. The White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt was pressed on that question of leadership yesterday during the briefing, and she essentially said, we'll have to wait and see. So Democratic lawmakers on Capitol Hill have expressed increasing concerns about the end game and the long-term strategy here. Democratic leader Schumer, the Senate minority leader, has accused the administration of having shifting goals and different answers, he says, every day. The vast majority of Republicans, though, are still supportive of this operation. Take a listen to some of the divide over on Capitol Hill heading into that War Powers vote last night.
They do not want their taxpayer dollars being used to fight a war against Iran that doesn't make our country less safe. So if they come to the Congress for a authorization of additional funding for this war, I would hope that every single Democrat votes no, tells the administration spend money on American citizens.
The sooner this regime falls, the better. The fact that people don't embrace the regime falling and collapsing, making us safer, is stunning to me.
Again, last night's Senate vote to try and limit further military action in Iran failed, 47 to 53. And you had Republicans like Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri, who had initially expressed support for a similar resolution pertaining to Venezuela, yesterday saying that he believes the Trump administration is in compliance with the law with respect to Iran. He also said, though, that ground troops would require congressional authorization. Now, Virginia Democrat Senator Tim Kaine, who's been behind pushing this resolution, said he will continue to try to bring it up in the coming weeks to see if any minds are changed as this goes on. A similar measure is expected to be taken up in the House, but House Speaker Mike Johnson, who has called the measure dangerous, says he believes he has the votes to put it down. Again, Republicans largely supporting this, Errol.
All right, Natalie Brand with the latest for us from the White House. Natalie, thanks. A reporter for Axios is shedding some light on the U.S. and Israel's decision to go to war with Iran. In an interview on The Takeout yesterday, Mark Caputo discussed his reporting on a key phone call between President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that he says set this conflict in motion. Here's what he told Major Garrett.
I think we could say that the answer to why now, why on Saturday, began the Monday before, February 23rd. Benjamin Netanyahu called the president. They had, President of the United States, Donald Trump, they had a situation room conversation, a secure conversation where Netanyahu informed him on Saturday, the Saturday that they wound up bombing, the Ayatollah and his leading figures in his inner circle were going to be meeting and were an available target. And over the next week, Donald Trump's CIA checked it out. And once the word came back on Thursday that indeed the targets were going to be meeting then on Saturday, Trump gave the go-ahead on Friday, and the rest is history.
I remember you can stream The Takeout with Major Garrett weekdays at 5 p.m. Eastern here on CBS News 24/7. Now, the Pentagon has identified the other 2 Americans killed in that attack at the command center in Kuwait. Military officials say 45-year-old Major Jeffrey O'Brien was killed. He's from Waukee, Iowa, which is just west of Des Moines. They also identified Chief Warrant Officer Robert Marzan, a 54-year-old from Sacramento, California. But the Defense Department tells us his remains haven't been positively identified just yet. The father and sister of the youngest victim, 20-year-old Sergeant Declan Cody, spoke to the Associated Press. CBS News correspondent Michael George brings us that part of this story.
The pictures on Kira Cody's phone remind her of happier times.
This was the morning before we dropped him off for him to leave. He was our cat Autumn's favorite. She'd sit in his room while he would game for hours and beg for attention, and he would give it to her.
Her brother Declan deployed to Kuwait back in September. He was a dedicated soldier who loved his job so much he was considering extending his stay.
He hadn't made a decision yet, but one thing he did say is that, I haven't had a lot of jobs, but I've had jobs in the civilian world, and I've been over here for 6 months, and I work 12-plus hour days. I work 6 to 7 days a week, and he goes, I love it.
Declan Cody called home on Saturday, the day before he was killed, to tell them he was okay. But he didn't respond to his family's messages Sunday.
Most of us started to wonder, and your gut starts to get a feeling.
The Codys got the news that night. An official at their door in West Des Moines confirmed what they feared. Declan was gone.
I still don't fully think it's real. I didn't think it was real when they told us. Because I just remember all of our conversations about what he was going to do when he came back. And so I'll just be sitting and thinking about it. And then, it's really hard.
Declan Cody's 21st birthday is in May, just 2 months away.
Well, he was actually still supposed to be in Kuwait, and you can't drink in Kuwait. And so before he had left, we were teasing him about it, because we were like, oh, you're gonna be 21 and you don't get to go out. And he didn't even care. But yeah, I don't know. We were just so excited.
But instead of being reunited and celebrating with him, Cody's family will be mourning him.
I just really wish I got to tell him I love him one more time, because he was just so amazing.
Michael George, CBS News, New York.
And now CBS News foreign correspondent Anna Coren joins us live from Beijing. Anna, you're covering the National People's Congress as the war with Iran adds to China's mounting economic issues. Help us understand how everything appears from that part of the world.
Well, certainly Beijing is concerned about the war. It's concerned about its energy security. What this war in the Middle East has exposed is China's Achilles heel. China is the largest importer of oil and natural gas. It imports something like 70%, and half of that comes from the Persian Gulf. So its supply line has been severely disrupted. It has been stockpiling oil now for years, and we've spoken to analysts who believe there's something like 4 to 5 months worth of reserves. But President Xi Jinping wants stability. China's come out and condemned the war. We heard from the Foreign Minister Wang Yi. He accused America of assassinating a sovereign leader, of violating international laws, and of pushing the region to a dangerous abyss. Now, you have to remember that China and Iran have had a long-standing relationship dating back more than 50 years. And certainly in recent years, when the US imposed sanctions on Iran over its nuclear weapons program, Iran was selling upwards of 80% of its oil to China. So some would even say that China has been propping up the Iranian regime. I put that to Henry Wang, a Chinese analyst. He dismisses it. Take a listen.
I think that is a normal trade because, just like we see the Russian war in Ukraine, and we see all the BRICS countries like India buying from Russia. So because just one country doesn't like Iranian, you cannot really ask the rest of the world cannot buy.
Now, China today appointed a Middle East envoy. They'll be sent shortly in the hope of starting mediation talks. As we've heard from the US and Israel, this war will be continuing for weeks. And obviously, it will be a huge topic when President Trump comes here to Beijing at the end of the month for that summit with President Xi. Obviously, as I say, President Xi will want to have his energy secured. Errol.
And considering that, Anna, that you have this meeting at the end of the month and this war is raging on, what is coming out of the National People's Congress this morning?
Yeah, we attended the National People's Congress. It's one of the largest political events in China. Thousands of delegates from around the country come to hear the economic targets and policy goals for the year ahead. We saw President Xi Jinping there in the Great Hall of the People. He wasn't speaking. It was up to his Premier Li Qiang, and he made reference indirectly to Iran. He spoke about these geopolitical risks and difficulties and challenges for China's economy. Now, interestingly, the economic growth was set at below 5%. It has not been at that for decades. So that just goes to show you that growth here is slowing down. We also heard the next 5-year plan for this country, and China wants to be self-reliant. It wants to be the global leader in AI, quantum computing and other technologies. But Errol, as long as this war drags on, it is just going to place more pressure and have much larger impact on China's economy and its future growth.
Great to have Anna Coren there reporting directly from Beijing for us on all of these major issues. Anna, thank you so much.